19-year-old student Justin Sherman is suing 21-year-old student Jothan Schiller for purposely ramming the back of his car. Justin claims it was retribution from a prior incident.
All rise. That's case number 79 on the calendar in the matter of Sherman versus Schiller. Parties have been sworn in. You may be seated, gentlemen. Have a seat.
Mr. Sherman, you and Mr. Schiller used to be friends, according to the complaint that I read. It is your claim that after an evening of drinking, Mr. Schiller purposely damaged your car.
Yes.
Mr. Schiller says that he did not damage your car, and in any event, you don't take responsibility for things that you do because a month or so previous to this incident, you got drunk and got sick on his carpeting and didn't take responsibility for that. So that's what happens when you get drunk. That's your defense.
That's basically correct, yes.
All right. Let's get to my favorite part of this. Let's get to the drinking part. What date did this incident allegedly happen, Mr. Sherman?
March 25th, 2005.
What time?
About 1 o'clock in the morning.
What day of the week was the 25th of March?
I believe it was a Saturday.
So, nobody had school or work. Do you work or go to school?
I go to college, and I also
Where?
work. Longview Community College.
Okay. Where did you start your drinking, Mr. Sherman, on Saturday night?
Went to a party, I believe it was a high school party in a rural area. I didn't know the person's house. I was taken there with my witness, Sean.
How many people were there?
I'd say about 50, 55.
Oh, good. I love this part. There were 50 or 55 high school kids?
Yeah, give or take.
A lot of drinking?
A lot of drinking.
Was it a nice house?
Not really.
Not when they got finished with it. The parents home?
No.
You know, I think when you have teenage children, you should just make a pact. You don't go away.
That's right.
You just don't go away.
Take them with you or lock them up.
Right. They should have sort of a kennel for them. So that the parents can go away. So these 50 teenagers are drinking in a house. Some other guys, you know, older college men like you show up, more responsible, and you're drinking. Now, is everybody bringing their own booze, or was it... What did you bring?
I didn't bring anything. I wasn't drinking, Your Honor.
Not at all?
No.
Who was driving?
I was.
What were you drinking? Is not an answer.
I was
but
drinking.
Standing up is good.
I was drinking Miller Lite.
How many did you bring?
12-pack.
12? Just for you?
Yeah.
And the two of you went together?
Yes, ma'am.
How did you know the people whose party it was?
I just got calls from friends and...
Sort of out of the loop. You know, teenage kids have passed me by a long time ago. When you get the call, what does the call usually say?
There's a party, and come over, and blah, 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 and then you get directions, and just go.
Now you can sit down, Sean, until I need you again. Okay, so what happened at the party, Mr. Sherman?
Well, I went to the party, started talking with some friends, gazed over, and saw Mr. Schiller here. He was with his best friends, and they were making faces at me, laughing and towards my direction, and I just got real embarrassed and really just distraught about the whole thing. And then they started making puking motions at me.
Had you gotten sick on Mr. Schiller's carpet the month before?
Yeah, I did.
And did you make arrangements to have the carpet cleaned up?
He refused my help. He said, no, I've had enough with you. He just told me to get out of his house.
Okay. Did he subsequently call you and ask you to pay to have the carpet cleaned?
Not till a week later.
A week later? I said subsequently. Subsequently can be a week.
Okay.
So he called you a week later, and what did you say to him?
I said, no, I'm not going to pay for that.
Okay. Let's cut to the party's over, and you got to the party at what time?
9:30ish.
9:30, and you left about 12:30, 1:45?
Yeah.
Good. And all that time you didn't have a beer?
No.
Nothing?
Nothing.
Almost doesn't pay to go to the party.
Oh, you have a good time there. Socialize. I don't think you have to drink to have a good time.
Any drug? Yeah, well.
No. No drugs.
No drugs?
No drugs, Your Honor.
Any drugs?
No.
Just drinking?
Just drinking.
How much did he drink?
About case.
Okay, so now it's 12:30, 1:45. And you leave?
Yeah, I decided to leave. I was tired of it.
Now, Pick it up from there, Mr. Sherman.
Mr. Schiller and his friends were extremely drunk. I walked out to my car, and they ran in front of me and started pushing my car into a ditch. At that point, I got in the car, told Sean to get in the car, and started the ignition and headed out. They continued to follow me in their Chevy Blazer. Started yelling out the window and flashing their lights, honking their horn, tapping me on the road.
You mean acting stupid?
Yeah,
okay,
acting
so
stupid.
they're acting stupid. What's next?
After that, I got to my house, stepped up on the front porch. They rolled up right behind me, honking the horn, telling me that they want to kick my... And I told them to leave, and they revved their engine and slammed into the back of my car, Your Honor, and then drove off. At that point, I was in shock and called the police. I have the police report right here.
Can I see it, please?
Yes.
Have a photograph of the damage?
Yes. I also have an estimate.
I'd like to see that, too. Now I'll hear you, sir.
About a month before this incident occurred.
I know months before you
Yeah.
got sick and he ruined your carpet.
Ruined
and
the carpet, damaged.
You wanted him to pay for it.
Well, not only that, though, he tried to fight me in my own house.
He got drunk.
He got drunk.
He has a drinking problem.
He cost me, yeah. Well,
He has
he
a
blacked
drinking
out and I
problem.
let him pass out on the ground.
Listen to me, Mr. Schiller. He has a drinking problem.
He's an alcoholic.
I don't have a drinking problem. He has a drinking problem.
He has
Mr. Sherman, I want you to trust me on this one. I have a nose. You shouldn't drink. Keep going.
Well, we were outside. He basically invited us over to try to fight him. He
How
wanted
did
to fight.
he do that?
What, screaming down the road. Sean actually was yelling out the window, come over and fight us.
No, Your Honor.
Okay, so that's... Listen, Mr. Sherman. See, that's what happens when you have a drinking problem. You can't control yourself. Mr. Sherman, do you understand?
Yes.
Understand how quiet he was when you were testifying? Didn't interfere. When you have a drinking problem, even if you haven't been drinking, you lose control of the ability to have control of yourself. Like right now. Mr. Sherman, if I can tell that you, as a 19-year-old kid, drinks too much, by the time you're 30, it's going to be over.
Judge Judy continues in a moment. Justin Sherman says acquaintance Jothan Schiller rammed his car in a drunken rage. Jothan claims it's Justin who is the troublemaker.
All right, so now you are at Mr. Sherman's house because this idiot over here challenged you to a duel.
Yes.
And you were sufficiently sophisticated, in control of yourself to say, I'm not going to get started with this. I'm going to go home. Whoops. No, I don't think so. I think I'm going to go over and fight them. Right? Now, you go over there, you honk your horn, and they don't come?
No, they ran inside as soon as we got there.
Right, and you honk your horn.
Yes, I honked.
And they didn't want to come out to fight you?
No, they did not want to. When they had offered first. I mean, I didn't want to fight him. I just wanted to get this settled, maybe talk out with him, but...
And you thought, Mr. Schiller, the appropriate time to talk to Mr. Sherman was when he had a case of beer?
Yes. That's the only time to talk to him.
No. You thought that the appropriate time to talk to him when he would be in
whenever
control
you see
of
him,
his senses.
he's usually been drinking.
Mr. Schiller, don't play with me, sir.
Well,
All right. And it's your statement that after you honked your horn and they refused to come out, you drove away and you did not back into the car.
I was parked in the driveway, so it might have appeared that I was close, but maybe his prior damage.
So that's your statement. Very good. What year is your car, sir?
A 91 Buick LeSabre.
Okay.
It holds sentimental value, Your Honor.
What?
It was my great-grandfather's. That's why I want it fixed. It holds sentimental value.
Well, I don't get sentimental over a car, sir. You know, maybe a vintage Rolls Royce. But I got to tell you something. You should have it fixed. You're not going to have it fixed for $2,000. You find a ding doctor who can fix it maybe for $500. But I'm going to tell you both. If you continue to drink and act stupid, that's what happens. You ruin carpet. He hits your car. You're just lucky you didn't kill somebody else that evening because you had all been drinking. I have very little sympathy for either one of you. Anyway, you're suing him for $2,000 because that's the estimate that you had. The whole car's not worth $2,000. Get somebody to fix it for $500. Judgment for the plaintiff in the amount of $500. That's all.
Parties are excused. You may step out. All parties in the matter of Davis versus Seco, step forward, please.
Lola Davis is suing her granddaughter's mother, 21-year-old Michelle Seco, for attorney fees as a result of a restraining order. Michelle says she was fearful of Lola kidnapping her daughter.
Miss Davis, Miss Seco is the mother of your granddaughter.
Yes.
She was not married to your son, but they do have a child together, and that child is how old?
3.5.
Where is your son now?
He's incarcerated.
For what?
Violation of a probation.
For what?
DWI.
So he has a drinking problem.
Yes, ma'am.
It is your claim that Ms. Seco filed a false application for a protective order against you and your husband,
Yes.
as a result of which you had to retain an attorney, and you want her to pay for your legal fees.
Yes, I do.
Ms. Seco says that the allegations in her application were true, and it's unfortunate because you used to see your granddaughter regularly but don't anymore.
Right.
So, Ms. Seco, I'm going to start with you.
Okay.
When did you file this application for a protective order?
On January 11th,
Under what circumstances?
because of the harassing phone call that I had got from him saying that Christina's father was going to kidnap her and take her up to Kansas City because he was going to work on the railroad with his dad. And I asked him about it, and he didn't know anything about it, but he was moving up there, and he was thinking of giving me sole custody to get his life straight. And I told them that, you know, they called the cops on me, and I told them that they were no longer going to see her because, you know, if Kenneth's not there...
What do you mean they called the cops on you? For what?
For checking on the well-being. They called the cops several times on me and family services, and I have the reports here if you'd like to see them.
I would. And I'd also like to see the application that you filed for the protective order.
Okay.
So you filed a petition in which you allege as follows.
Mm-hmm.
She is constantly harassing me if I don't let her see her granddaughter. She makes me out to be an unfit mother. She's several times called Division of Family and Children's Services
Mm-hmm.
and called the cops on me.
Yes.
When I would go to pick up my child, we would get into arguments and she would yell at me and threaten to take my child away. She's constantly harassing me about my 3-year-old daughter, which I fear she might kidnap and flee the state.
Yes.
Well, what did she say about kidnapping your child, or are these fears that you have that were born out of the fact that she said, if you don't let me see her, something will happen?
She told me that whenever her son Kenneth was moving up to Kansas City and that his father had a lot of money and they were going to get full custody and make me out to be an unfit mother.
I never said that.
Just a second. So?
And I asked Kenneth about it, and he said that was not true. He was going to move and stay up there and get his life on track because he had his previous history, and he was going to give me sole custody.
Lola Davis says the mother of her granddaughter, Nichelle Seco, took out a false restraining order against her.
How many grandchildren do you have, Ms. Davis?
I have 13 total.
Unfortunately, you can't sue the person who granted her a temporary restraining order. You were granted a temporary restraining
Yes.
order, then you had a trial,
Yes.
and at the trial the case was dismissed.
Yes.
Well, should never have been a temporary restraining order based upon these allegations. There is not one allegation here that is sufficient, in my judgment, for a court to have granted her a temporary restraining order.
Judge Judy?
Yes.
When she filed the ex parte orders on us, we had retained the attorneys to appear for us on our behalf, and by the time we did get to court, the whole case was dismissed. And I have a copy of the court transcript.
I don't have to read the transcript. I've been in the business a long time. When you file for a protective order, one of the things that you're stating is, based upon a fact, you are in fear for your safety or the safety of your child. Fact. She doesn't state any facts here. What she says is, I fear she might hire a hitman to kill me. Well, maybe she's crazy. Maybe that's why she has a fear. Maybe she's nuts. But I fear that she might kidnap my daughter. Well, that's not what she said, according to you, Ms. Seco. According to you, what she said is, my husband is moving, and according to you, she said, and they have a lot of money. The parents have a lot of money, the relatives have a lot of money, and they're going to sue and try to get sole custody of the child. Whether that's true or not, that's legal. Mm-hmm. So there is nothing in your petition that should have inspired a judge to grant a temporary restraining order. So you're suing the wrong person because she's not a lawyer. She didn't pull the wool over anybody's eyes. She made statements like she was, you know, free thinking, and somebody who wasn't using their noodle granted her a protective order, temporary, and by the time it got down to push comes to shove, they thought better of it and either dismissed it,
Yes.
or she didn't show up and they dismissed it because she wasn't there, or was there a hearing?
Yes, there was.
There's a hearing and the court said there's no basis for a restraining order.
Correct.
Right. I think that there is probably a larger picture here, and that larger picture is it's unfortunate that you're not seeing your granddaughter anymore.
I'm trying to file for grandparents' rights, Your Honor.
That's kind of a hard thing to do because the law is very strict with regard to that now. Is there any way that you can envision having Mr. and Mrs. Davis see their granddaughter?
I mean, I didn't have a problem with it at all in the beginning until they started calling family services and cops coming out for false accusations.
Okay, now let me ask you this question. You live at home with your parents?
Yes.
Do your parents have any objection to this Davises coming over to see your granddaughter for an hour or two in their house?
I mean, if it's at my house, I don't think they would really have a problem with it.
Well, Ms. Davis, if those are the circumstances now, at least for now, that Ms. Seiko is prepared to allow you to come and spend some time with your granddaughter, I would do that.
I am going to do that, Your Honor, because I love her very deeply.
They have 13 grandchildren.
Right.
You have one child. Your daughter only has 4 grandparents.
Yep.
Your son has a problem.
Yes, he does.
So, better be nice to her.
Yes.
Why don't you see while you're here if you can arrange for a time, an hour maybe on a Sunday? That would be reasonable.
Yes.
And it would certainly show me the level of maturity on your part.
Exactly, and I've always told her that she is the grandmother and nothing is ever going to change that, whether me and her son aren't talking or not, and I've always told that even before I had my child.
So why don't you see if this Sunday you can make some time? You live close enough, don't you?
Yes.
Yes.
Good. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Parties are excused. You may step out.